It's 1:06 in the afternoon on a Saturday, and it's time for the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show with your host, Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. One of the top real estate agents in the world, been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Realtor Magazine, Fox News, NBC, ABC, and many national publications. You can find him at blakesloan.com. Here's Blake Sloan.
Afternoon, everyone. Brand new show. Excited to be here. Excited to be part of this, and really just got a great lineup of stuff to talk about today. Been doing this real radio thing about real estate about 10 years on different stations. Excited to launch this show here with this amazing station. A lot of things to talk about today. Number one, really, is just who am I and why you should listen to our show. And we have one main goal of the show, really to provide value. How do we give you value to make good decisions with good data and to help you just really kind of know what's happening around the grand strand so you can really know what to do with your assets, your real estate, things like that. We'll really kind of dig in this week, look at what's happened in the marketplace. We have the brand new market numbers from last month. And as many people know, it's crazy out there right now. Tons and tons of things happening. Some houses selling for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 above asking price, which is insane, right? So we just had one last week. We launch it. We have a certain day we launch it, a certain way we launch it. We have four offers in 4 hours, all of them sight unseen, one of which was $30,100 over asking price. Wow. So that's crazy right now. We had some interesting numbers, though, this month where there was a couple areas that declined. So we'll talk about what happened there and what to look for where there is a little bit of a softening due to some buyer fatigue and also just inventory challenges as a whole, just kind of in general. But we'll talk about that. We have some amazing success stories. Our team's been crushing it, been pushing hard. But main goal today is just talk about, like, who am I? What's our story? What's our goal here for the long term? Because we want to be able to just provide a lot of value long term, really kind of what's happening. We have some time today afternoon. I just did an interview with WMBF News last week that just talked about some people that have concerns with foreclosures and evictions once that moratorium's lifted. And I'll share some of the things I share with them from a data standpoint. Just it's not near as bad as they were kind of making it look or feel, because so many homeowners right now have more value and more equity than they think they do. We'll talk about just what we're seeing right now just across the market, where I'm seeing many home sellers cost themselves $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 by making this one simple mistake when they're selling their house, just because of so many nuances due to the pace of the market. We'll talk about that as well. There's just massive amounts of money being left on the table in many situations, at least what I found. Plenty of time today, too. We'll talk about Myrtle Beach ranked number 3 in the top travel destinations this year at TripAdvisor. But really, the question I get the most is, like, why is there such an inventory shortage? What's happening? Why is it so crazy? And I have some important data I'm going to share that just explains why we're seeing such a home shortage right now. And specifically, Myrtle Beach is in what we call a perfect storm. It has to do with who's relocating, where they're relocating from where, the scenarios from home value up there versus home value here. And we're seeing Myrtle Beach being a great spot due to people that can work more remotely now. They're buying second homes earlier. And we're seeing people that are just flat mad at how their government's handled, the lockdown and restrictions. And they're coming down here to get away from that. We've had people who are just super angry. And we'll talk about that. And just some overall great stuff to share information-wise for you all on the show and every week going forward.
Wow. I'm looking really forward to having you here and learning a lot from you, Blake. I've bought quite a few homes in my day, and I have a feeling that I might have done some things wrong. So having you here will make my next buying or selling a home experience probably more profitable for me.
Absolutely. That's one thing that's important is just I see so many horror stories week after week of what's happening, things that are happening overall for them. And so we'll just kind of share, like, what are some different things going on and what's most important for people and how to make decisions. And I'll talk about that in a second. I guess I kind of go on there in that aspect.
Well, for many of the new listeners, this is just to give you an update on really who Blake is. It's a pretty amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He's been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck. One of those in itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together, it's really unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about you and your teamwork and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you've developed to help both the buyers and the sellers in our market.
Yes, and so this is something that I'll get into a little bit more of my story in a few minutes, but I grew up in real estate. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, whole family sold real estate. And so I was like putting signs out when I was 2, 3 years old. And I just saw these challenges with the industry where you see the same things over and over. And I noticed as I got older, a lot of people just didn't like real estate agents. Their horror stories and certain things they had, and they didn't feel like they got the value of what it was. And really, it came down to how most people make this huge mistake. They make this mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same, right? They think they're a commodity pretty much. And in reality, it's total opposite. It's just like any doctor, any lawyer. If you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, you don't want some part-time attorney who may or may not have even practiced that type of law, right? You want the absolute best. And so it's been a challenge to understand why people don't demand that same thing for their largest asset, right? Or one of their largest assets. In many cases, they just go with whoever their friends, brothers, uncles, babysitter, recommended, who's also bartending part-time somewhere, right? And it's true. It's crazy and scary. And we see it over and over. And so the reality is, in our marketplace here, the average agent sells 4 homes a year, which is, not very good, right? You wouldn't want to get LASIK eye surgery from a doctor who's only done 4. They'll just list a house with anybody, and they wonder why there's a disappointment at the end, right? And so this is kind of the point behind this show, and really why it's important for me to share, is the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes to one thing only. That thing is the agent you choose, period, right? People think it's my wall color, my grass, but it's all so much different than most people think, because when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what that does? Puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, AKA they drop the ball at any point, that costs you hard equity, and the property used to not sell, now still will probably sell, but you just left $20,000, $30,000 on the table, right? And so it could be anything from really how the agent obviously markets it. Comes down to right now, it even comes down to the day of the week you make it active, how they market it. It comes down to the photos, the quality of photos, and even we tracked it down to the psychology of buyers and the actual order of the photos. And so there's a whole science to that, but it comes down to really these other variables. Does your agent actually answer the telephone? If you call most for sale signs, guess what happens? Nothing, right? No one answers. If you get some admin who doesn't care about your house or if it sells or not. And then online ads, right? All these inquiries now are based online, and it takes days if agents even call back at all. And so that's something that we've noticed. And we really identified these 118 different variables from A to Z. Now, the problem with that is back in 1994, 1991, you can manage most of the variables. In today's time, with all the technology, all the moving pieces, everything that you have, it's literally impossible for one single agent to juggle all those balls. And so what you end up getting is an agent who's just trying to get the listing, get it sold. We call it the 3 Ps. 1, they promise the world to get the listing. 2, they put it to MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street getting the next listing from your neighbor. And so what we did is identified all the variables, what has to happen in what order to get to a successful outcome. And we mapped that out. Most agents have no clue, right? They're just trying to react to what's happening, get the listing, put in there. And so that's why there's so much disappointment. So what we did is we created a system that's proven, repeatable, that creates maximum leverage at every single point. We call that stacking the dominoes. And so if I stack domino 1, domino 2, domino 3, after a while, it starts to create a competitive advantage for our client. And our client at the end is able to sell faster and for more money. And so we back that up, though, with technology. We've built out software and teams. So we have a team of all kinds of different people we'll talk about, from the administrative team to the sales team to the inside sales to outside sales, to make sure that the ball does not get dropped in your court when it has to do with your house. And so many people have noticed that with their agent, they don't hear back from them. They don't get communication. Things don't happen. The reality is, it's not that they don't want to. There's just not enough time in the day for one person to juggle those balls. We kind of equate that to how most agents operate. It's like having the same person at McDonald's do the front register, the drive-thru, and the French fries at the same time. Yeah. Very inefficient. If you went to McDonald's, right, and there's one person working in there, you wouldn't be very happy.
And you wouldn't be a customer very long.
Exactly right. Oh. Same thing you see real estate agents. That's why you see, home sellers and even home buyers go from agent to agent to agent because they're not satisfied. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to do with the agent. It has to do with their business model, how they operate. And so what we did and what I did is I looked at what people did outside of real estate, and I brought that into our industry in real estate. So look, this is how regular businesses run their business. They have this framework, this structure. I hired coaches from outside of our business. One of the most influential coaches I ever had was a guy from Austin, Texas, who owned a chain of grocery stores. He took them from 40 to 4,000 and then sold them. And so we built our infrastructure around the traditional business model. And so we created a system called the Guaranteed Sold System. It's the only proven system to sell homes twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very well. It's trademark. We have federal trademark, a lot of our stuff that we utilize. I designed it. We license to other agents, other parts of the country, but it's exclusive to us. People try to, duplicate it, copy it a little bit, but nothing to level at what we do. And anytime we show that to anyone, they're from a different, a realtor from a different state, we sit down and show them, and it blows their mind because it all comes down to business model and really how you execute. And the same thing for buyers out there. The market's so crazy right now. You got to have somebody who's an expert who knows what's going on and can understand the pace. And so for buyers out there, we create a system for them. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as home inspection all the way to the closing table. But both those do one thing. They give you, the client, the ultimate competitive advantage. So we'll talk more about that here in a second, but just wanted to share that in the biggest difference in agents and what they do.
Wow. We'll be right back with this very exciting new show. It's the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show here on Talk.
Where are we at, Tom? Where are we at time-wise?
11 minutes.
Okay, I have no clue where we're at on the
Yeah. Actually, I have a clock in the other one that you can see from the other way. I just found a new real estate agent.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate that. I'll show you some of the stuff we do.
Because I've been using somebody that's very well known here, and they're top in their own top real estate agent in their company, Beach Realty Group.
Okay.
And I just did their whole office building. I did all their new blinds or all
cool.
the new shades in their office building. But I found my house. I did all the work.
Yeah, once we unpack this, you'll see exactly why.
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
did all the work,
Mm-hmm.
and I paid somebody a lot of money to basically close on my house.
Once we unpack it, you'll see the pieces, and it's really it's fascinating. Yeah, they just
get me inside the house. I paid all that money.
They just open the door, and that's it. Yeah. Most cases.
Yeah.
All
and
right.
actually, I'm the one that found that property. That's what I say. I was the one. It was on my list. And it was in Hillsboro, off of 90, and I kept moving it off my list. I'd come down here, I'd look at a bunch of houses, and I didn't get to that one. So I'd get back to Maryland, I'd move it to my new list. And then on the third trip down, I'm like, I should go check out this house. It's been on my list now for 2 trips down. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, got to get me in this house. These are good bones. I can do this.
Right.
So
I'll unpack that and show you, especially over the next couple of weeks. It's wild to look at. And those people have no clue. They think you're
I think that, and kindness and hugs and all get you only so far in real estate.
100%.
Like, all right. So this will be segment 2. You're gonna bring that other guy in your fourth segment?
I can message him right now.
It's up to you. He won't need any headphones. But,
okay.
We can give him some if he wants them, but I'll swing the mic around to him. In the other studio, we've got 4 microphones, so let's do that.
We had 6 more. It's 50 more minutes.
You got what?
50 more minutes. We got 40 more minutes to go.
No, actually you're 43 minutes and 50 seconds. So
okay.
I'm sorry, 44 minutes and 30 seconds. So we've already burned up 11.
Cool. All right.
So yeah, it's this will go a lot faster. That hour is going to go a lot faster. I bet a 30-minute show goes by blazing fast for you.
Yeah.
I see mortgage rates are kind of staying the same.
Yeah.
I got in at 2.99 for a 30-year. I refinanced. And it looks like the lowest has been 2.75. So I don't feel I did bad.
Yeah, you did great actually. And that's and thankfully it jumped back up 3.45. Now it's back down to 3.13, which is great.
Yeah. All right.
So you want to do this first part? You'll just kind of ask those questions if you want to. Kind of, hey, we'll just talk about that.
Where are we? Did I not get? I said break. I saw break.
There you go. That's it.
Okay. You want to come back with the or do you want me to, as we're going out next time at the trailing of the music, do you want me to play the Barbara Cochran or the?
Oh yeah, I thought you were already playing those because I don't have any audio. So
no, I haven't played it.
Oh yeah, so play those. You got to pause.
We're not recording it now.
Oh cool. Okay.
We already did our segment.
Oh, we usually do ours like all the way straight through. So yeah, so just if you can play those one of the two commercials, then we'll come back from that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
play the Barbara.
Okay, so I'll do Barbara Cochran
Okay.
and you'll be able to hear this.